Hello, Sheila.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We indeed are coming live and direct, and welcome to the Township of Douro-Dummer and our council meeting here on the 20th of September. And as is usually the case, please be reminded the meeting is being recorded and is coming to you live on the Township's YouTube channel. We will indeed start things with a bit of a roll call, so we're all familiar with who we are dealing with here today. Members of Council, Deputy Mayor Moher.
Here.
Councillor Watt is not with us yet. Councillor Landsman.
Yes, here. I did see Councillor Watt trying to connect.
And Councillor Watson.
I'm here.
Is here as well. Also, our CAO is Alana Arthurs. Alana, little wave from you. Our acting clerk, Martina Jade Hartwig. Martina, she is there pushing the buttons. Paul Creamer, our treasurer, there he is at the bottom of the screen with his calculator ready to go. Christina Coulter, our planner. Christina, good to have you here as well. And Mike Mood, our manager of rec facilities. Mike is there. And also Councillor Watt is now in attendance. So we will call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock as we have a quorum. We respectfully acknowledge that we're on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabe. And we offer our gratitude to the First Nations peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. We are going to pause for a very special moment, a moment that the world has observed over the past week, and that is the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in Britain's history, and of course our Queen as well. She passed away on the 8th of September, 96 years of age. Much has been said about her contributions in so many ways, and I felt it was only appropriate for the Township of Douro-Dummer to share in that respectful salute to the late Queen. So please join us for the next few seconds as we honor the memory of Queen Elizabeth II. Thank you all very much. A huge loss to everyone. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest with any of the matters we're dealing with tonight? Please advise us now about that. Okay, see no hands. The agenda that is before us, we would have a motion to adopt the agenda. Carl?
Yes, I have an addition to, hopefully my colleagues and council will approve it. In light of the time interval between now and our next meeting, I have a resolution I'd like to move if, with your pleasure.
Go ahead.
We'll go as following. Whereas the election process at the municipal, provincial, and federal levels of government is fundamental in the preservation of democracy in Canada, and further that there has been a strong Douro-Dummer public interest for an in-person all candidates meeting during the current municipal election campaign, and further a small nonpartisan committee of residents has been formed, organized to organize such an all candidates meeting of the community interest, and further that the committee chair, Rod Manley, has been trusted to manage recent fair and accurate elections in the greater Peterborough area for the province and the federal governments. Be it resolved that the subject committee chair's room rent expenses and rental contract for the scheduled Douro-Dummer October 6, 2022 all candidates meeting at the Douro Community Center be added to our council agenda today. As well, I would ask for a recorded vote.
Okay, Madam Clerk, now the process here, we would take a vote to approve the addition of this to the agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct. In the procedural bylaw, we would need a unanimous vote to add this to the agenda for this evening.
Okay, that's fine. Carl has asked for a recorded vote to add that to the agenda. Comment on the motion. Go ahead, Heather.
Yes, Your Worship. At this time, I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest as I am a participant in that event. So I will make that declaration. I wasn't aware that that was coming forward in that way today. And I'll turn my screen off while that goes through.
Okay, that is your prerogative to do just that. Is everyone else okay then? We will take a vote and we will require a majority of the existing council. Go ahead, Carl.
I think we'll need a seconder for the motion as well.
A second by Tom. That's good. Okay. Everyone okay with that then? Martina, you're okay to move forward?
We are. We just we need a unanimous vote, not a majority vote, just for
A
clarity.
unanimous vote. Okay,
Yeah.
We'll find out in a hurry. Recorded vote, please go ahead, Martina.
Dummer Ward Councillor, how do you vote? I'm sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry, in favor.
Councillor at large, how do you vote?
In favor?
Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
I in favor.
Mayor, how do you vote?
Yes, in favor.
The motion is carried unanimously.
Okay, thank you. So I would now need, do we invite Heather back?
Yeah, I'm just on doing
Okay.
that.
Okay. We are now back with everyone present. I would like a motion, please, to adopt the amended agenda, please. Tom and Sheila, all in favor? That motion is approved. Now, how do we move forward on this then, Martina?
I think we can add it to the other business section. So that will be section 10, I believe.
Under section 10?
Yeah, committee minutes and other reports. We can
Okay.
have it there.
Carl, we'll let you make that motion
Sure.
at the time. Okay. Okay, here we go. The minutes and business arising from the minutes of September 6th. The motion, please. Carl?
I have an amendment I would like to have added to the agenda. It has to do with under committee minutes and other reports. 10.
Is this from the September 6th meeting, Carl?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, let's hear your amendment then.
10.3, it was a motion moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Watt regarding the Community Engagement Arena Facility Future Ad Hoc Committee. And the preamble to my resolution somehow didn't get in the minutes. And that preamble was, whereas to maintain the intent of the Municipal Act and municipal election policies for neutrality, and then the motion.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
I was unaware that that was part of your motion. So if you email that to me, I can have that added in.
I will.
Is that the seconder, Tom? That's what you recall? To verify that? Okay, then we would ask for a motion to approve those slightly amended minutes. All in favor? That motion is approved. No consent agenda tonight. We have no delegations, petitions, presentations, or public meetings. And we vault right into staff reports. The 9.1 is the capital project status. That's a report prepared by staff. Are there any questions on that? This is a regular report that we get. Simply a motion to receive it. Go ahead, Sheila. You're muted.
Sorry, it wouldn't unmute. Yes, I do have two questions, but I would make a motion to approve it and ask the questions if somebody would second
Seconder,
it.
please. Heather, go ahead, Sheila.
Okay, on the page 2, the second item of the report. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Alana, or Brian's not with us tonight, is he? No. The building department customer service policy with wait times is on hold until new staff level is in place. Does that mean there's still more people to be hired for that department?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Landsman, we did hire for the full-time position. There was also a contract position that council had approved, although we were not proceeding with that at this time, just because we were able to fill the position with a very qualified candidate. We will see that customer service policy come back on October the 4th. So essentially, he was just waiting to have that person in place. They've gone through their processes, and he's putting that together for our next council meeting.
Oh, thank you. And my other question is on page 4, item 3 and 4. The walls are on hold pending COVID update. And the next one, or second, the one after that, the painting is complete, but the construction isn't finished. Am I correct on that? That sort of sounds backwards a little bit.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Landsman, the new cubicle walls, yes, we were waiting, just we've had so many transitions with staff and then the construction of the lower level. We weren't moving forward with the cubicle walls and still watching how COVID was proceeding. So at this time, there is no intention to move forward with that. So we'll look at what we do with that allocated amount during the budget process. And then with regard to the painting, the upper level was completed. The lower level, the painting is now completed. I'm just looking at what is in there. The painting is just completed in the lower level, but actually, as I say that, the drywall in the offices is probably not completed at this point. So the other painting has been completed, but they are still working on the actual offices in there to have that painting fully completed.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on that report? Carl, go ahead.
Just a quick one. I just wanted to thank staff for getting those solar panels going after a few months of not working to 100%. So thank you very much.
Okay, motion's on the floor. All in favor? That motion is approved. 9.2, this is autonomy conservation. This is Reg 68721 compliance report. I'm going to turn it to Alana, and I believe she has a special guest with her as well. So Alana, it's all yours on this topic.
Thank you very much. I'll read the recommendation first. That's CAO 2022-28 report dated September 20th, 2022 regarding ORCA OREG 687/21 compliance program and service inventory and related agreements required for compliance under the Conservation Authorities Act to be received, and that bylaw 2022-42 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of the plan review and technical clearance service agreement and the cost apportionment agreement for the category 3 service programs, for example, water monitoring, land stewardship, climate change initiatives, be approved at the appropriate time of the meeting. With us today, we do have the new CAO from Autonomy Conservation, Jeanette Lovey-Smith. There she is. So with regards to this report, I'm happy to try to answer questions, although she might be better equipped to do so should council have any questions about the report or the attached agreements.
Okay, and Jeanette, may I welcome you to the Township of Douro-Dummer.
Thank you very much, your mayor, and I'm happy to be here. And Lana has done a wonderful job laying it out in her staff report. So I wanted to thank her and appreciate the work that she's done.
That's great. Okay, any questions from members of council over that report? Go ahead, Heather.
Thank you, your worship, through you. I don't know if Jeanette or Alana would be best to answer this, but I'm just curious about the financial impact. I'm a little unclear as to which budget that 3% is coming out of. Are we looking at pulling that from existing 2022 budget? Is it a reallocation of what we've already set aside for Orca and we're just moving line items, or should it be allocating it for the 2023 budget? I'm just a little unclear where that money is coming from.
Don't all speak at once.
Through you,
Alana?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Watson. I can indicate that it would be for 2023. I know initially prior to Dan's departure, we had discussed these agreements, and at that time he had indicated that the way that they were laid out, the municipality shouldn't see any additional costs. But maybe Jeanette can speak more specifically to that and how what the change is with that category 3 in comparison to what we've done previously.
Thank you. I'm happy to. So also to clarify, for 2022, there is no new funding requests here. This is really what you already are paying in the tax levy for 2022. This is what we have been asked to move towards in 2023 and 2024 with a full implementation. And so this portion of what is in the staff report for category 3 does require, so category 3 programs for all of the conservation authorities are a variety of very different programs. And so for us, these are the 3 main programs that we're offering in this category. And according to what the 2022 levy was, that is approximately $3,080 for your township. So the way that we would be moving forward would be looking at the 2023 budget and laying out what the levy would be as a whole, and then putting them into the 3 categories. So you would see exactly what category 3 would be in the 2023 budget. We are looking at, again, this is capping it at 3% of what the category 1 expenses are. So this is just to give our member municipalities some assurances on how these agreements would work. We wanted to put some framework, so that's the 3%. It's no more than 3%. The portion would be for category 1. So you're already paying for this. This is just breaking it out in more transparency. It's another way to say it.
Thank you, Jeanette. Any other questions? Seeing no hands, I thank you, Jeanette, for taking the time to be with us. We didn't grill you too bad.
No.
We're trying to break you in gently. That's all. So thank you for being with us. Can I have a motion, please, to receive that report? Carl?
Thank you.
And Heather, all in favor? Motion is approved. Item 9.3, Mike Mood is here. Mike, are you with us? There he is. Douro South Park RFP. It's all yours, Mike.
All right, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to start off by reading the recommendation that the Recreation Facilities 2022-08 report dated September 20th, 2022 regarding this Douro South Park RFP be received, and that council authorized staff to enter into an agreement with Drain Brothers Excavating Limited to undertake the proposed revitalization to the South Park for the total amount of $392,002.83, and that additional funds of $22,336 be allocated to the project from the capital project purchase reserves to fund the cost related to the well and make 2 additional pickleball courts. So since our September 6th council meeting, staff entered into negotiations with Drain Brothers, and we were able to bring some of their proposed project costs down within budget. But since staff presented this project over a year ago, it was to our understanding that we would be able to reuse the well tile in the river. Unfortunately, since we've done some more investigations, the well tile in the river isn't deep enough, plus some concerns about the dam below the park. We've had a number of different levels of water throughout the years because of the dam being pulled. So we don't feel like the water would be adequate there to supply the building. So we're proposing to drill a well at the costs listed below. In addition, I was not under the impression that we were able to get 4 pickleball courts made into a regular tennis size court, 60 by 120. After further investigations and different layouts that we've looked into, we'd be able to have an additional 2 courts for pickleball, which would bring the court total to 4. In the last few years, all of our requests, and it's been a growing request, have been to create pickleball courts. So at this time, we were thinking, because we're doing the project, that it would be better to try to, I guess, address those needs now versus down the road. Once it's painted, then we will not be able to rework those courts into it. So any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Okay, anybody want to question pickleball? Tom, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Mike. I know this pickleball is well, thank you for the whole report to start with. Yeah, Drains, they always do a good job for us, so I don't think we're going to go wrong there. The pickleball courts seem to be something that's growing more and more and more in stature all the time. I know I did ask, because I was asked by ratepayers about the tennis courts in the Lions Park, but of course we don't own that, so it makes it a little more tricky to come up with something like that. But I'm just wondering, maybe just something to throw under the hat for maybe future. And I know it does get a lot of use with kids, but the fire hall park, because I know there was requests about having pickleball in Warsaw also. The fire hall maybe down the road, is there a possibility just under your hat to maybe look into the fact that maybe we could put a court or 2 in Warsaw on that facility some of these days? Like I said, it'd be a great thing. The parents should have something to do while the kids are playing in the park. So just something, to look into anyway. Thank you.
Note to self, Mike.
Yep.
Good. Thank you. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, just further to that question, was there any consideration to perhaps use the floor of the Warsaw Arena for pickleball or Douro Arena? I think some of the community centers are used for that purpose. And I have another question too, once that's answered.
Yep, we definitely, with the purchasing of the nets, we could possibly use those nets indoors for certain events and paint them on the courts. It's something staff can definitely look into. I do know that we have looked into it in the past, but with this project at hand, we were kind of focusing on that and then going from there.
Yeah, the next question I had has to do with the water. I know the water is unpredictable there from the river, but river water, or it's soft water, is much easier on plumbing equipment than hard water from wells. Is there any portion of the water that could be used for maybe the plumbing portion of the expansion there at the park?
Potentially, I guess, but the well casing is starting to deteriorate. So I think we'd have to replace the casing itself to begin with. Plus the old water lines are no good, and you're approximately 450 feet to 500 feet to run water lines from there to the building. So that would be an additional cost that I didn't know. I don't think we are going to be associating with that at that time.
Okay, so the assumption on the water of the estimate of 14,002 would be assuming they can find water at that level. So if they can't find water, then it could be more expensive.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have had someone come out and witch for water. They have given us a location and approximate depth between 40 and 60 feet. So, and they feel it's a strong water vein. So
That's a pretty good guarantee then. Thank you.
Okay, the motion that we're about to make is about the report in question and approving Mike's request. Who would like, did we get a motion on that, Martina? No. Tom's going to move it, and who's going to second it? Sheila, all in favor? That motion is approved. 9.4, this is Bill 109, the amendment to OPA 74, and my favorite planner is with us. Christina, we'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Mayor Jones and members of council. You have before you Report Planning 2022-13, and the recommendations are that the Planning Department Report 2022-13 dated September 20th, 2022 regarding official plan amendment number 74 to the local component of the official plan for the County of Peterborough as it relates to the addition of complete application policies resulting from Bill 109 More Homes for Everyone Act 2022 be received, and that a letter of support be sent to the County of Peterborough to advise that the Township of Douro-Dummer supports the proposed official plan amendment as described in the document prepared by the County of Peterborough Planning Department. So those are the two recommendations. A copy of the draft official plan amendment is attached to the report, and a public meeting will be held virtually through video conference on Wednesday, October 19th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. with Peterborough County Council. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor Jones, if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Christina. Any questions on that report? Any questions? No? Could I have a motion then to receive that, please? Sheila? And Heather, all in favor? That motion is approved. 9.5, Martina, draft policy for governing policies. Yes, Carl?
Mr. Chair, I wonder if that last motion should have been receive and adopt the recommendation.
Perhaps it should have been. Martina, is that right?
I'm just reviewing it right now. If it's the motion that was presented exactly in Christina's report that I believe was passed,
Okay.
we don't need that because it speaks to council sending a letter to advise them of our support.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Continue on, Martina, 9.5, please.
Great. So this is a report in policy regarding policies to govern our policies, which sounds strange. But the recommendation that's before you regarding policy for governing policies be received, that the policy be approved and added to the Township's policy manual as policy C08, policy governing policies. This policy was reviewed by our committee of the whole for comment and question, and they recommended that it come before council for approval.
Okay, so a policy to govern policies and policies. Motion, please. No one? Sheila, Tom? All in favor? Motion is approved. 9.6, Township Boards and Committees, Martina.
Very good. So the recommendation that is before you today with this report is that the report dated September 20th, 2022 regarding township boards and committees end of term review be received, that recruitment for all committees be placed on hold until new council has provided direction on its strategic goals, and that the recruitment for the 2022-2026 Library Board and Committee of Adjustment Planning Committee take place with appointments to be made in December 2022. And finally, that the term of the Santa Claus Parade citizen appointments be extended until December 1st, 2022. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, that's pretty straightforward, I would say. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Number one, I'll make a motion to receive the report with thanks. And I do have a question if someone seconds it.
Second it, please. Heather, go ahead.
Thank you. Martina, in past, and I know even with council, we've, with our committees and that, we've had to have police checks. Is that still something that's in place, or is that kind of fallen by the wayside that we don't need it anymore?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Watt, we'll actually be bringing a new volunteer policy forward in the new year, which will speak to police checks. And we're hoping with the new council in place, we'll also do a strategic plan to analyze what committees need to be in place to assist the township.
Great, thank you.
Motion's on the floor. All in favor? Motion is approved. Here's another policy, social networking. Martina, you're on again.
I am, thank you. Just getting this up on my screen here. All right, so the recommendation that is before you is that the report dated September 20th, 2022 regarding the revised township social networking policy be received, and that the township policy manual be updated accordingly. In past meetings with our committee of the whole and council, there have been comments about the township expanding its use of social media. We took that information and updated our policy for your review and approval. And then we've also conducted a housekeeping review of the policy to make it easier and more friendly to use.
Questions? Motion, please. Go ahead, Sheila, make the motion.
Yes, I
Second
will.
it.
I will make a motion to receive the policy and, excuse me, and I do have a question if somebody seconds it.
Heather will second it, correct? And Heather had her hand up first. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, you want me to go ahead with my question?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Through you. Just a question with respect to Appendix F, I believe it is, that lists a number of social media accounts that are that the Douro-Dummer Township accounts are pre-approved to follow. I might be wrong on the appendix number, but it was
You're correct.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just wondering if that's necessary and relevant and not a lot of work for staff to maintain and manage. Accounts kind of come and go, new partners come to the table. You know, if there's a new nonprofit organization or board in the community that we'd want to follow, I'd hate to have to see that come back to council to get a permission to follow and share that content in the future. I'm just wondering if it's necessary.
Martina.
Yep, through you, Mr. Mayor. There are provisions in the policy itself that allow us to follow new accounts that are relevant to the community without updating Appendix F. But staff are happy to delete Appendix F if that is council's wish. In the past, council had requested a list of the types of accounts we were going to be following. So we kept this here for illustrative purposes.
Sheila?
Thank you. No, that was going to be my question. So I take my question back.
Motion's on the floor. All in favor? Motion is approved. 9.8 is the back dam.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Martina has her hand up.
Sorry,
Martina.
Mr. Mayor, I was just wondering if the mover and seconder could clarify their motion. Are you just receiving the report, or are you also allowing the policy to be updated?
The mover, what's your,
To be
What was your
updated as far
intent?
as I,
Excellent. Thank you for clarifying.
you're muted, Sheila?
to be updated was my thought.
So you're approving the update. Heather, that's what you seconded? Okay. Okay, I don't think we're okay on that, Martina?
We are. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you. Alana, you're down at the back dam. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation of the CAO 2022-27 report dated September 20th, 2022 regarding Back Dam public beach status be received, and that council agree to removing the public beach status from 902 Rock Road, known as the Back Dam Park, as per the recommendation of Peterborough Public Health.
Straightforward. A motion to approve that recommendation. Carl,
I've got a question,
are you going to move the motion?
not just yet.
No.
I think Tom's got his hand up.
You're going to move it, Tom? Do we have a seconder? Sheila, okay, speak to the motion, Carl.
Yes, I'm disappointed that we can't find some solution to that problem because we're going to get reaction to that. I'm sure there's young kids because of the shallow water there using it for bathing purposes. And like if some property owner up the river is somehow not following the rules for disposal of liquids or whatever, I wonder why we wouldn't consider going after them, because I really think this is, closing it for as far as public swimming is an easy way out, but it isn't solving the problem. So maybe there's been some background discussion that the health unit have tried to resolve, because I understand there's various ways via satellite to look at where bad water may be entering the river and upstream. So,
these situations do, however, happen at many Orca-controlled facilities, not just here, but it seems to be a common situation each season. Alana, any response to that, please?
Through Mr. Mayor to the Deputy Mayor, in my conversations with Peterborough Public Health, the concern partly was the low water level, which was creating the algae on the rocks that were there, and the safety issue that we had with people going in, and the number of waterfowl that was, I don't know if it has increased significantly, but that was the sense I received from Peterborough Public Health. So the concern was, although the water was being tested early in the season and it seemed to be okay, there was a point where it was not safe to be in, and then just the safety aspect of people walking on the slippery rocks and going in there. We felt it was better to take it off as a public beach so that the perception wasn't there from the public that it was accessible all the time. Certainly we'll put some signage up just to make people aware that it's not tested, because Peterborough Public Health is indicating the safety of their own people going in is jeopardized, and there may come a time where they would refuse to go in and test it. So we didn't want to have the public beach on the website and have people accessing it on a regular basis, and then come mid-July, suddenly the water's not being tested or the water's not up to par for people to be in. So the thought to remove it as a public beach, obviously people, if they choose to go in, they go in, but we want to make them aware that it's not going to be classified as a public beach, and there are safety concerns at that location, and we'll have some signage just to indicate that.
Canada geese are there in droves every day, as they are in that whole section of the river. I mean, they're
The whole world.
every day. They're in droves. Go ahead, Sheila.
Thank you. Through you, just a comment. I just seems, as Carl said, it seems to be unfortunate. We're taking everything away. First, we don't have the swimming in the river, and then we have the back dam problem. What will the signage read, Alana? Or will there just be no sign?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Landsman, I will reach out to our insurance company and somebody who is in that risk department to just get some wording specific to what they would recommend to put there. So I don't want to speak specifically to what we may have there, but definitely indicating that the water is not tested and that there are some safety concerns in that location, or slippery areas or something to that effect. So we're making people aware.
Thank you. I just don't see people caring to stay away, and if it's a hot day and they want to go in the water, they've been walking on slippery rocks for ages. I just find it understandably confusing.
I think ultimately we're trying to minimize the liability of the
They're just
municipality.
warned about it now. Yeah. Tom, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I kind of echo I mean, since I was a kid, and that wasn't yesterday, been up the back dam, the Warsaw River, swimming, stuff like that. And it's the same thing every year. There's times where the water doesn't even come over the back dam. Yes, it gets slippery. Yes, it's tricky to maneuver. Taking the designation off, I don't have a problem, that it's on a website as a public beach, whatever. I get that. But as far as being used, I think if the proper signage is up, the use of your own risk, check with the insurance company to see, even with the signs up, where we have liability and stuff. Because, I mean, it's like Sheila said, it's one of the only places we have left on the river for people to go swimming unless they go into the caves. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And the geese problem, maybe there's something we do, because there is a lot of geese. I mean, right down through the whole river, the Lions Park gets all covered and, with them coming up on the shore. So that may alleviate a lot of it. But I mean, it's just one of those things that, and quite honestly, I mean, a little bit of that stuff going into your body is good for your immune system.
I also point out swimming at the caves is on and off as well with the health unit. No question about that. So it's not just there. Final comment, Heather, and we're moving on.
Thank you, through you. More of a question than a comment, actually, to staff. Has the public health unit looked at maybe a seasonal testing program? Although I know swimming is generally seasonally, but like just maybe in June and July when the water is higher and it is a little bit safer for them to test. I mean, certainly in August, there's no water to test in the beach area that's been designated as such. But is there some sort of compromise that we can come to where it's open as a beach in, June, July, and otherwise use at your own risk? Is that an option?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Watson, I can certainly ask about testing earlier in the season. I think we either need to designate it as a beach or not. So again, I can clarify that, but my thought would be it probably has to come off the beach listing, just so that we don't have confusion. But I could request that they test until they feel it's unsafe. And then we would just have to designate it as unsafe at that point, and see if they would be amendable to that.
Okay. Do we have a motion, Martina? We have one on the books there.
Yeah, moved by Councillor Watt, seconded by Councillor Landsman.
All in favor? All in favor? Nice and high. Okay. Motion, all opposed. Just to make it official then. All opposed. Okay, I will break the tie in support of the motion. Okay, moving ahead. Where are we? Oh, okay, 9.9 employee compensation agreements. Alana.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation is that CAO 2022-29 report dated September 20th, 2022 regarding the management and non-management employee compensation agreements be received. And that bylaw, and they weren't available when I submitted my report, but 45 is listed at below being a bylaw to adopt the management compensation agreement be approved at the appropriate time of the meeting, and bylaw 2022-46 being a bylaw to approve the non-management employee compensation agreement be approved at the appropriate time of the meeting.
That's it in a nutshell. Motion to approve. The bylaws will come up later. Heather, seconder. Tom? All in favor? Motion is approved. Thank you. Item 10, we have committee minutes, other reports. 10.1 is Canada Day meeting minutes. 10.2 is Historical Committee. 10.3 Arena Facilities Ad Hoc Committee. One motion, please, to receive and approve those minutes. Sheila and Heather, all in favor? Motion is approved. Correspondent action items. Now, Carl, yeah, I think this is the section you might want to come into.
Yeah, we'll list it as 10.4 in this section.
10.4. Carl, you look like a 10.4 tonight. So
Your
we'll turn
Worship,
it over to you.
excuse me one moment. I'd just like to declare pecuniary interest on this item. I declared earlier I'm putting it on the agenda.
Okay.
And I will declare on item 10.4, and I'll turn my
For the
microphone off.
record, Councillor Watson has left the meeting. Go ahead, Carl.
Yes, I'd like to everyone heard my motion. There's no need to, I had various information in there. There's been very strong interest on public interest on all in-person, all candidates night. And a small partisan committee has come forward. For all of us that may not understand, that the chair of that committee is Rod Manley, who has been running elections for the feds and the province for, I'm not sure how many years, but for a while anyway. And he came forward, and despite the absence of any service group doing it, and that would normally have the insurance and so on to move forward. And the insurance, some of us may have that on our house insurance to be able to cover it. But if we delay this till the 4th of October, that's only a day and a half to get it on. So I think we need to move forward. Their community centers were built for community events. And this is, in the past, community events have been at our community centers. There's been all candidates nights in the Wellington room of Douro Arena for the last 40 years. Some of them even run by the clerks of the township, chaired by the clerks of the township. Now, I know that's all changed now. The venue is there. They're using our venue, and we will have probably one staff member there anyway. I have no reason to doubt that it will be run fairly and nonpartisan, and there's a distinct community interest. And I guess I feel that our township should waive the right to have a contract because of the people involved and the community interest that is certainly out there to have such an event in there for this election. Because I've had a lot of inquiries, and I'm sure all members of council have a lot of inquiries. There's a lot of new faces on the election scene, and people are asking questions. And part of that questioning was, are we going to have it in person? Because a lot of people don't think that online virtual all candidates will do the same thing. So that's what I'm feeling. I feel that we should waive the fee of $155, I believe, plus appropriate taxes, and also waive the right for the insurance, because this event is not going to be any risk. And I guess if there is risk, we, the township, should be assuming that risk, because that's why community centers are there, for public use, for community goods. So that's my motion to waive the fee, and also to waive the need for the contract.
Okay, I think you've said it very clearly, Carl. That's a motion. Is there someone going to second that? Sheila is?
I would second that with a question, if I
Go
may,
ahead.
through you to Carl. Do you foresee other people requesting the same thing? And
No.
would you be in favor of it going forward?
If somebody came forward and was not somebody of the caliber that the chair is of this committee, it might be a different way of handling it. But I think in this case, since most of us don't have this kind of insurance on our house insurance, I know there is an option to add it through the township, but we're happy that we're lucky to have this individual that's in our committee, and he's formed a small nonpartisan group, I understand. I don't know the players or who's on the committee, but I think we've got to support this kind of thing. Certainly if it was a service club coming forward or some other, it might be a different situation. I don't see any precedent risk whatsoever with this.
And we handle these things on an individual basis. I mean, you'd have to, every situation will be different.
Thank you.
Okay. Alana.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to speak briefly to it, and it's not that staff is opposed to having an all candidates debate. I think it's a fantastic idea and opportunity for everybody to hear what the candidates have to say. Our concern from a municipal standpoint, if we're waiving the fees, is that the municipality is then providing some financial opportunity for the election process, which generally the municipality tries to remain outside of, so that we're not foreseen as helping any one candidate. So in this situation, in waiving the fee, if there was, somebody who did not attend or didn't have the opportunity, we're a little concerned from the municipality standpoint. The insurance portion, if you want to waive the insurance requirement, if this is the direction you're going to go, I think that's okay. But we would still request that somebody sign the contract, because alternatively, the perception would then be the municipality was hosting and facilitating this debate. And that's where we just get a little bit gray and a little bit concerned. So the insurance, while I agree with you, I don't think it's a high risk event. We could waive the requirement for insurance, but we would still want somebody to be responsible for that room and for the access of that room, so that staff was not to be there and help facilitate the process. I know this motion does fall outside of the policy. If you have questions about that, Martina can answer those questions. Generally, we would ask that they come back and be reimbursed after they've paid. So it does fall outside of the policy, but we just have some concerns about the perception that this might have in the community if it appears to be facilitated by the municipality.
Okay, we've heard both sides of the coin now, and it's obviously going to be council's decision as to what they want to do. Carl?
Yeah, just one final point. All candidates will benefit from this. It isn't just one. So if somebody chooses or can't make it, all candidates, I understand, have been offered the privilege to come to this. That was the purpose of the non-partisan portion of it. So thank you.
Okay, we've heard it all. Sheila?
Sorry, through you, just one more question. Is there any reason why you feel, Carl, that it should not be signed? I mean, I hear Alana's point, staff point.
But I guess my point is that all candidates, not just one, will benefit from it. All candidates will.
Okay, well, we do it or we don't do it. We're going to have to vote on that right now. Tom, last comment.
Yes, thank you. Is there a provision in here where we could say, okay, we're going to drop the fee to $1, kind of like that, just to make it legal that it's done? I mean, it's still a council decision. It's then paid for, and it's paid for by a non-party, not someone with the township, whatever. And yeah, as far as the contract goes, I mean, that's a one way or the other. If they just signed the contract that they're using the building, but I don't see the insurance part of it. So I guess that's just my thoughts.
Okay, we've heard lots of thoughts. I don't know. Seems to me this is a very straightforward community contribution by some community members who are trying to do the right thing and want to use the community center that the community owns, and that's what the community center should be for. And I'm not seeing a lot of problem with it. But. Okay, Carl, the motion, Martina, the motion's on the floor.
It is.
Carl, and who seconded it?
Sheila, sorry, Councillor Landsman did.
Okay, Carl, let me hear a quick version of your motion, please, so we all know what we're voting on.
I move that we waive the fee and waive the requirement for the contract.
Is that what the seconder is interpreting as to the meaning of the motion?
I would ask for a recorded vote.
And a recorded vote. Martina, go ahead.
Dummer Ward Councillor, how do you vote?
In favor. I believe it for the community.
Councillor at large, how do you vote?
In favor.
Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
In favor?
Mayor, how do you vote?
In favor.
The
Do I
motion
get the
passed.
impression the motion is approved?
That's correct.
Good. Okay, let's move on. Sometimes we don't agree on these things, and sometimes there's all kinds of things in the background, but sometimes you just got to get on with life and get on with life. We're not downtown Toronto. We're just trying to do the right thing. Okay, for the record, Councillor Watson is back in the meeting. We have correspondence action item from the Township of Ashfield, Colborne, Wawanosh about changes to the Ontario Wildlife Damage Compensation Program. You have that in your package. What is your decision on this one, please? Sheila.
Yes, I would like to ask a question about it. I can make a motion and then ask my
Motion, please,
question.
first.
I'll
Mhm.
make a motion to receive and support it, but I may change my motion when I ask my question.
Receive and support. Who's going to make a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Carl, go ahead. Sheila? and then
Thank you.
Carl.
Through you to Paul, I guess. What is the difference in what are our rates for this, Paul? Is this going to affect us? Are we losing on these kind of, I'm sorry, am I on the wrong? No, I'm on the wrong one. My apologies.
Okay, Carl, go ahead.
Yes, my question has to do, and I'm not sure who should answer it, but are we getting feedback from our evaluators that these fees are out of touch with reality and current costs? And whether Martina or
Oh,
Paula?
Yeah, we used to hear from our evaluators all the time about this, didn't we? But things changed. Alana or Martina?
Sorry, Martina, did you want to speak to it?
Yeah,
I just saw your hand up.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to it. We are down evaluators currently, and it's very, very challenging for us to attract any new evaluators because the fees are so low that it's very challenging for someone to leave their work or take time away from the farm to assist municipalities in the processing of these requests.
Okay, thank you, and I'll support the motion.
Okay. Okay, the motion's on the floor, moved by Sheila, seconded by Carl. All in favor? That motion is approved. Item 12 is bylaws. We have 1, 2, 4 bylaws. Make that 5. Martina, I'll ask you to give a quick review of each bylaw, please.
Very good. Bylaw 2022-42 is the MOU between the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority and the Township that was previously discussed. Bylaw 2022-43 is the appointment of members to the Short-Term Rental Advisory Committee. You'll remember that at the last council meeting, there was direction given for staff to bring back an appointment bylaw, and it's before you now. Bylaw 2022-44 is a bylaw to stop up and close a road and shoreline allowance on Island 107. This is related to a purchase from the Lessner family that was previously discussed. That process, it has gone through, and this is the last step to completing that. Bylaw 2022-45 is the non-management staff compensation agreement. And then 2022-46 is the management staff compensation agreement.
They are the bylaws. One motion for all the bylaws would be appropriate. Heather and Carl. All in favor? Bylaws are approved. We move to accounts. And maybe Paul is on the screen. Maybe we can pepper him with questions. I'd hate to see him do nothing here. Go ahead, Carl.
Yes, just one question, and it's not really, I guess it's not a question, it's just a comment. On page 196, on the last page is 12,600 for mesh and tablet annual fees. I think part of the review by Tammy a few years ago was to look at all these annual fees to see if we could somehow piggyback on other municipalities, because other municipalities have similar fees, and if we can have one account and just through cloud technology piggyback on each other to save annual fees, because these annual fees for some of these software packages are just getting out of touch with reality. I realize it's a valuable tool for roads people, but if every township in Peterborough County pays $12,600, I wonder at clerks and treasurers meeting if there might be a consideration to look at, see if we can't get one account and we all have sections of it. That was my only question and comment.
Paul, did you want to respond in any way to that?
Through you, your worship, to Deputy Mayor Moore. Point taken. Definitely, I know that the county has started some investigations into some opportunities for what you're getting at in terms of piggybacking on each other. But I think there is just another point that I wanted to emphasize that you made, that this is kind of the way of the world now. This is the way that a lot of companies are going in terms of a subscription model rather than upfront purchases for software. And I think it's a good point that it is something that we will need to manage and be cognizant, because I think, it might be one of those things over time where all these little subscriptions really can add up, and it can become a little bit of a death by a thousand cuts, and you don't realize that it's happening because they're so little. So I think it is a good point taken, and something to monitor going forward.
Thank you.
Heather, go ahead.
Through you, just to follow up to that point, certainly I understand and fully respect the need to pay licensing fees, and unfortunately, in many cases, as government, we can't necessarily, share Netflix passwords as many people do at home, it seems. But there are savings to be had, and I think that as staff look into it further, perhaps exploring how the accounts are classified. Oftentimes, software SaaS companies look at government as enterprise level subscribers. And it's quite possible you can downgrade some of those subscriptions so that, particularly as small government, right, that we don't have as many seats and users that are occupying, keeping those costs down. Just something to explore in the future.
Okay, Martina, do we have a motion to receive the accounts and approve the accounts? A motion, please. Heather and Carl, all in favor? That motion is approved. We have no notices of motion. Any community announcements anyone wants to make? Okay, seeing none, we have no closed session. We have a confirming bylaw 2022-47. A motion, please. Tom, Sheila, all in favor? That motion is approved. Next meeting, September 23rd, Planning Committee, and regular council, October 4th. And before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I'm going to offer the final word. This will be my very last meeting as mayor of the Township of Douro-Dummer. As I fade into the sunset, I want all of our ratepayers to know how honored I've truly been to be your mayor for the past 16 years and a member of council for the past 24 years, uninterrupted. I've also been blessed with the opportunity to be warden of Peterborough County, something I have been very proud of for the past 11 years. It's time, however, to move on and take life a little bit easier. And I can honestly say, I can look in the mirror and say I've done my very best to represent all of you to the best of my ability at both the local level and at the provincial and federal level on many, many occasions. I've worked hard as a member of the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, which also represents Douro-Dummer, for those of you perhaps not aware of that, and as chair of the Eastern Ontario Regional Network, who have doggedly fought to get a high-speed internet throughout Eastern Ontario. And without us, we wouldn't be as far along the rope as we are right now. So I'm proud of that involvement. The last 4 years have been a challenge in many ways. Our staff have worked diligently to make sure everything stayed together during COVID. We learned a lot about many things. I'll miss working with the many residents of the township on many, many projects over the years. I'll miss working with staff who fly under the radar in most cases, but they do one heck of a lot of work, and they cover our butts in more ways than people realize. It's time to turn the page, and I truly, truly hope that the new chapter is a productive read. I really hope so. To Alana and Martina and all of our current staff, I say thank you. To Dave Clifford, who held the reins for 50 years, I say thank you. To our ratepayers, thank you. My last meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Carl, seconder. Sheila, all in favor? The meeting is over for the last time. Please be safe.